How you doing, Puff?
Come on, CNN! Come on. Go, 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 go. There! Come on, guys. Hey, D. How you doing, baby? They trouble me.
Excuse me,
Murray, give me a minute. Come over here. Why am I shooting? Saying, are you?
1 second, please. You would? Now, what's the questions? How did it go?
How did it go in there?
It went fine. It went as expected.
Do we have sound?
How did you plead?
Pled not guilty.
How are you feeling? How are you feeling?
Fine, thank you. God is good.
What's that again?
God is good.
What are your expectations for the outcome?
No, please, don't ask any further questions. Thank you very much.
Shyne, what is this case about for you? Nothing. What is it that you want from out of this?
Nothing.
Talk, Shyne. Prayers and messages. Thank you for your prayers. You're giving me support. The people of New York, just when I'm walking in the streets, just telling me to keep my head up. And I'm just so grateful today. And my whole family. I'm just really right now, I'm just very emotional. I'm at really a loss. I'm very emotional. I feel blessed. You know, I'm just so, you know. I mean, I'm gonna talk about all that later. Right now, I just want to go and be with my kids, you know, and I'm just grateful.
What about Shyne, Mr. Combs?
I'm just grateful. Thank you.
Thank you, son. Thank you, son. Okay, son. You talk to that fight tomorrow? Okay, man. Thank you. Take care, son. We love you, son. We love you. I'll see you, baby. Take care. Thank you, baby.
Get him in the car.
Thank you very much.
Draw a better picture of me, though, man.
Yeah, you got a better one.
Watch out, pup. Get the light out from behind him. All right, look, get away.
Puppy, look this way.
All right, out the way. See you later.
Back.
Sammy, Happy New Year.
Happy New Year, yeah. Fucking idiot.
I got something to say if you want to hear it. I want you to listen carefully because I want you all to note this. It's quite customary when people win the Super Bowl, they're on television saying they're going to Disneyland. Well, I feel like I just won the Super Bowl. This quarterback is going right to synagogue to thank God. Thank you very much. I love you all.
Thank you, Ben. Thank you, Ben. Thank you, Ben.
Did
yes.
you get that?
That's got it.
What was the key, Mr. Cochran? What
Well,
did you feel you did in this case?
I think in this case we basically proved John Combs' innocence. I love Ben Brafman. He's the greatest. He's the greatest. I think we actually proved his innocence. I think Sean Combs taking the stand. I think we made some strong decisions. I think we made the right decision not calling Jennifer. That it was on Sean's back. He did the right thing. He testified. He withstood the cross-examination, and he prevailed. I just want to say that this is a great, exhilarating victory for Sean Combs. It's a victory really for all of us because he was wrongly accused. These last 14 months have been very, very tough. In that courtroom today, the pressure was unbearable through all those verdicts to finally get to his not guilties. 5 not guilties that'll resound and ring in our ears forever. So we thank God, and I want to say for Ben Brafman and I, and Andrea Zealot, it was an honor and a privilege to represent Sean Combs. Very good. No, we thought that we thought when they linked Jones with Mr. Combs, that it would mean whatever one got, the other one would get, and the jury did just the right thing. And I'd like to praise this jury. They were fantastic. Thank you all for being fantastic. I'm going to head back to California. I'm not going to Disneyland. I'm going home to California. Thank you, guys. Take care. See ya.
What about Shyne?
His spirits he's of course disappointed with. He's certainly disappointed with the jury's decision with respect to many of the counts. We are pleased that the jury found him not guilty of some of the top counts. We are disappointed, though, of course, with their verdict with respect to the reckless assault in the first degree. But he's holding his head up, and he's going to stay strong in his faith and his conviction. And we recognize that these things happen, and hopefully everything will still work out.
Do you feel he took the fall for that?
No, he took no fall for no one else. The realities were the charges were somewhat different between Shyne and Puffy Combs. It was a different case. They happened to be tried together. The facts were entirely different. With relation to the exoneration of the attempted murder and the willful assault, that was a clear vindication that the occurrence it happened simply because of a reckless situation. That we will deal with in appeal. And I know that's the usual cop-out of most convictions, but we will deal with that in its proper course.
But do you feel his loyalty to Mr. Combs cost him here in this case?
Not at all.
Murray, why not? He was there with Mr. Combs.
You know, I'm not going to second guess what occurred or what did not occur. The jury obviously found him not guilty of attempted murder and willful assault. The circumstances under which these acts occurred or did not occur have been decided. We will now test whether it's done legally or properly. Other than that, we don't know. We're not going to suggest and put blame on anyone else.
What did he say to you in the end of the day?
We said a prayer together, and then we realized we had a few things still to take care of. That was about it.
Well, he looks like he's facing some heavy prison time, Murray. What's your estimate?
Well, interestingly enough, we had spoken about possible disposition before the case was tried. And we believe, but in getting exonerated of the top counts, to change the position that he could possibly be sentenced to. I think he may have, and hopefully, may have benefited.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Best thing about this party.
First stuff all over your clothes. No, the best thing about the party is a lot of free drinks and food, and a lot of celebrities and people from the music industry, and everybody just showing everybody love. All right.
So now this party is for you.
Yes, we decided to make this our honeymoon.
You know. Well, 1 minute. I gotta do this properly.
Yes,
So, at our party tonight, one of the one of the high points, really, is to celebrate what happened with Deborah Cox this year. She broke the all-time record, 14 consecutive weeks at #1 on the R&B charts, never done before in history by any artist. Her album is soaring to platinum. And I discovered Deborah just a few years ago. The first album went cold, but it's this album that goes everywhere. And tonight, and wow, the star-studded crowd, and it's going to be a special feeling of pride that I have that she's able to do that. So I'm just introducing you, Deborah, to Good Morning America. That's Total over there waving. The great new group, Total. And there's Terry McBride, who is the manager of Sarah McLachlan. And this is the famous Ted Field. Ted Field founded Interscope, both music, film, one of the great entrepreneurs of our modern era. Ted, we're talking to the audience of Good Morning America.
Just wanted to say hello.
Great to see you. So I'm just spanning. There's Herbie Hancock in the back. And the far end is Puffy Combs. And let's just give you a little bit of the glow. Whitney just went to change her dress to be more comfortable at dinner. Now we're going down to dinner. We're going to have dinner and then see a show which is going to have everybody on their feet. We're going to rock the house.
Thank you, Mark. In New York, witnesses have begun taking the stand in the trial of rap star Shyne "Puffy" Combs, also known as Puff Daddy. He's faced with gun possession and bribery charges which stem from a nightclub shooting over a year ago. Lee Cowan reports.
Before it even began, the trial of Shyne "Puffy" Combs had turned into a tabloid torrent. Glitz and glamour up against the law, and a string of serious charges. A business titan and once one of the biggest names in hip-hop, Combs is now facing 15 years in prison for his involvement more than a year ago in a shootout that injured 3 people inside a Manhattan nightclub.
I want to make this 100% clear. I had nothing to do with a shooting in this club.
While he's not accused of gunning anyone down, the prosecution insisted yesterday during opening arguments that he did fire into the crowd. It happened, attorneys say, at the same time his rap protege, Jamal Barrow, let loose 3 shots of his own, aiming at but missing a club patron who had insulted Combs by throwing money in his face. But the most serious charge stems from incidents after the shooting, when Combs fled the scene with actress Jennifer Lopez. The prosecution maintains Combs offered a $50,000 bribe to his driver that night if he told police 2 handguns which had been recovered belonged to him instead of Combs.
I think Puffy from the beginning has been very confident, eager to proceed, has shown me a great deal of class, and he has great faith in the system of trial by jury.
His high-powered defense team, including Johnny Cochran, says Combs is being targeted because of fame and celebrity. The case could last as long as 5 weeks, and even then, it may not be over. Combs and his record company are embroiled in at least 4 multi-million-dollar civil cases stemming from the shooting that could drag his name through the courts for years. Lee Cowan, CBS News, New York.
Jennifer Lopez could be called to testify at the trial. Her name appears on lists of potential witnesses for both the defense and the prosecution.
Not be called to testify in a trial involving her former boyfriend, rap mogul Shyne "Puffy" Combs. Combs' lawyers rested their case on Thursday in New York after he took the stand in his own defense. Russ Mitchell has details.
In what legal experts called a risky move, Shyne Combs spent more than 6 hours on the witness stand. The 31-year-old rap mogul told a packed courtroom a gun that was found in his car was not his, and when asked if he knew where the gun came from, replied, absolutely not. Combs is charged with illegal possession of a gun after shots were fired inside a Times Square nightclub in the early hours of December 27, 1999. Combs said Thursday, "I thought I was being shot at. My hands were up. Everybody started falling all over each other." Investigators say after the shooting, Combs, his bodyguard, chauffeur, and then-girlfriend, Jennifer Lopez, fled the club in an SUV, speeding and running red lights until they were stopped by police. Officers discovered a gun in the vehicle. Prosecutors also charged Combs tried to bribe his chauffeur by offering him $50,000 to accept responsibility for the gun. When asked by his attorney if that was true, again, Combs said, absolutely not. Combs, who became a recording industry executive at the age of 20 and the head of his own record company a year later, now has an empire that includes clothing, restaurants, and movies. Under cross-examination Thursday, prosecutors implied that Combs was giving another performance. His attorneys denied that, and at the end of the day, seemed pleased.
Mr. Cochran, do you have any comments?
No comment.
Both sides are optimistic the case will go to the jury as early as next week. If convicted, Sean Combs faces up to 15 years in prison. Russ Mitchell, CBS News, New York.
Hip-hop mogul Sean Puffy Combs walked out of court having been acquitted on all counts.
I'm just really right now, I'm just very emotional. I'm at really a loss. I'm just very emotional.
Everybody throw your hands in the air.
A 31-year-old former party promoter, Combs built his success in his own music videos into an empire including a record company, restaurants, talent management, and a clothing line. He'd been accused of taking an illegal gun into a crowded New York City nightclub December the 27th, 1999. Police said one handgun was thrown from his SUV as it ran red lights leaving the club after shots were fired. Another identical gun was found inside the vehicle, along with Combs, his then-girlfriend, singer-actress Jennifer Lopez, and his driver, Wardell Fenderson. Fenderson accused Combs of offering him a bribe to take the rap. To counter that, Combs took the stand.
He did the right thing. He testified. He withstood the cross-examination, and he prevailed.
The jury's verdict meant no one was convicted of possessing the gun found in Combs' car or the one thrown from it. But Combs' protege, rapper Jamal Shyne Barrow, will face a minimum sentence of 5 years. He was convicted of firing shots that night that wounded 3 club patrons. Combs still faces more than $1 billion worth of lawsuits by those victims. The criminal court acquittal doesn't dodge those bullets. For the Saturday Early Show, this is Dave Browdy in New York.
Last Friday night, a jury here in New York acquitted music mogul Sean Puffy Combs of weapons and bribery charges stemming from a nightclub shooting incident last December. Johnny Cochran headed up Puffy's defense team. He's in Los Angeles. Johnny, good morning.
Good morning, Brian. How are you?
I'm all right, thank you. Ultimately, on what do you think Puffy's acquittal hinged? What made the difference?
I think his testimony, I think we basically proved his innocence. He took the stand, and it was a grueling cross-examination, but he was really untouched, unscathed. He was very, very credible, and I think that really carried the day.
Why did you say you were so proud of him and called it the highlight of the trial?
I think that he really withstood the pressure. I mean, you get to know someone. I've known him for about 10 years, so I was involved in the case, but I thought that he really withstood and handled himself beautifully. I mean, it would have been easy to try to call Jennifer Lopez and lay back, but he wanted to do it himself, and I was proud that he did that.
I read that you were nervous when the verdict was read. Uncommonly nervous?
Uncommonly nervous because of the circumstances, Brian. We had to sit through 17 verdicts to get to his final verdict, and there were more police officers in that courtroom than there were media people. It was stunning, and above all, the jurors were actually crying while the 4-person was reading these verdicts, and it was really frightening because, it turned out they were crying for having convicted Mr. Barrow, but you don't know that at the time. You think they're crying because they've convicted your client.
So the jury deliberated 3 days, during which time your comments were cautious. Was what you had hoped for not what you expected?
No, well, I expected it and I hoped for it, but you just never know when you're there, when you see these signs. About an hour before that verdict came in, the jurors took a break, some of them to go outside and smoke, I guess. And some of them were crying then when they came out of that room. That was not a good sign, but yet we held hope because we thought that we had proven his innocence.
Puffy's protege, Shyne Barrow, was convicted and could face up to 25 years in prison. Has that conviction made this victory bittersweet?
It was a sad part of it. It really was. And I think it affected all of us. The fact you got to know this young man as a young man who had a very promising career. Now he has to face up to this. And of course, there'll be an appeal also. But that made it bittersweet. But it didn't take away from the fact this was a stunning, complete victory for Sean Combs.
What's your reaction to Prosecutor Matthew Bogdanos' statement that, him looking at his words, justice did not win in this case?
Sour grapes. I think this is an overzealous prosecutor who lost. He had tremendous resources, and he did everything he could to try to convict this man who I believe was wrongly accused. And I think it's just sour grapes, and we have to move on.
Do you think this overzealous prosecutor should have never taken this case to trial?
I think not. I think that if they'd sorted this out, the evidence against Shyne Combs was no different than the evidence against Jennifer Lopez, but yet he's put in the midst of all this. And I think that clearly we proved his innocence. The only people who ever said he had a gun that night, people who sued him for over $1 billion. It's kind of like Who Wants to Be a Billionaire?
So wait a second. If the evidence against Puffy was no more and no less than the evidence against Jennifer, why do you think prosecutors went after Puffy and didn't go after Jennifer?
Well, I think for a couple of reasons. I think they really probably believed that in some way he was involved, but I think it was an attempt to take down another rap star, and it failed in this instance because we brought witnesses in to show he never had a gun. In fact, he was in fact a victim that night, and I hope this is a life-altering experience for this young man.
He has said it is. How do you think it changed him?
Oh, I think it did. I think this was a real frightening experience. I think he was awestruck by it all, and I think that he's a very bright young man. I think you're going to see great things from him for the future. The last 14 months have been very, very difficult. I mean, he's lost over 20 pounds. He lost his girlfriend. And he's gone through a grueling, grueling prosecution, and now he's come up, totally innocent, and I think that's a good thing.
He wrote in Saturday's New York Times about altering public perceptions of himself. Have you ever had any conversations with him about changing his image and the extent to which his image may court trouble?
Oh, yes, I certainly have had a lot of those. You know, I mean, he calls me Uncle Johnny, and we spent a lot of time talking about that. I think that the image out there is far different than the young man that I see and I know. And I think we've got to bring those two together because he's a very bright young businessman with a great and promising future. And this tough guy image, I think, has to be shed at this point.
Let's talk about you. Prior to this case, you had announced a retirement from criminal prosecution. You came out of retirement for this one. What now?
I'm not going to be like those fighters who stay too long. I'm out. No more criminal defense cases for me. But I'm going to continue doing civil cases representing people who are catastrophically injured. I'm going to be helping this young man down in Florida, Lionel Tate. I'm going to be down there this weekend because I think that shows that that juvenile justice system is broken. I'll be doing a lot of class action lawsuits, and so you still see me around, Brian, but not in the criminal arena.
The governor and the prosecutor are already predisposed in Lionel Tate's case to grant clemency. What can you do down there? What are you looking for?
I'd like to hurry it along. I mean, I think that it's a real shame. I mean, nobody condones what happened in this case and the loss of a life, but certainly a 13-year-old should not be sentenced to prison for the rest of their lives without possibility of parole. That's wrong. It's a system, a dysfunctional system, and I want to hurry that along and get him into this place where, as a juvenile, he can get some help and get his life back and show that he has some redeeming social value.
Doesn't quite sound like retirement to me.
Well, not retirement. I'm not retiring, just out of criminal law.
All right. Johnny, thanks. Good seeing you.
Always a pleasure, Brian.
Take care.
His detractors say the champagne-flowing world of Puffy may be a case of too much too soon. He's played hard and worked hard. At the age of 31, presiding over a $300 million empire that includes a record company, restaurants, talent management, and a clothing line.
So much of his empire is built around him and his persona, the personality. It's the cult of personality. It's all Puffy, it's Shyne, it's hip, it's floss, it's all these things.
Before the glitter, there was pain. When Combs was 3, his father was murdered. He began making money at Howard University by sponsoring parties. Dropping out after 2 years, he moved to New York, met the right people, and became a record company vice president at 19 and owner at 21. He had the touch, producing hit after hit, and the new world of hip-hop had a new king.
Sean Puffy Combs for our generation, my generation, is like Berry Gordy and Motown for our parents' generation, or what someone like Phil Spector was, you know, for that generation of 1960s.
With success came a movie star girlfriend, Jennifer Lopez, and a place in entertainment's elite. He also had run-ins with the law, accused of assaulting a photographer and a record company executive.